Hello, everyone. My name is Dara. This is Dear Hallmark. This is your space where you could come in and we could chit chat and we could talk about all things Hallmark Channel. Now, normally, like I just said, I talk about Hallmark Channel stuff, but we're going to talk about our cousins over at Up Faith and Family today. And we are going to do that with the wonderful, first of all, you should already recognize him if you've seen Polar Opposites, if you've seen Welcome to Valentine, and if you've seen The True Justice Mysteries. So please raise your glasses to Markian Tarasiuk. Thank you.
Hello.
How
Thank
are
you.
you?
Cheers. I know I got a
Cheers
little
to
bit of
you.
I got a little bit of espresso left. I'm coming
Oh,
down the high of the morning right now, so I got to re-up soon. Yeah.
oh, you're better than me. I could not do espresso. I did it once and I tapped out. I was like, I
Oh,
can't.
that was too it made you too jittery, too much caffeine?
I took a sip of a Red Bull and thought I was going to die. So I know, I know espresso is not my jam.
I am bad. I'll have sometimes three espressos in a day. Yeah. I don't know. I don't get jittery from them. I just like that becomes my like base level. And it's also bad when I go on set because it's the same thing of like I am one of those coffee drinkers all day from like morning to night on set. And people are like, "Aren't you like wired?" And I'm like, "No, I'm totally fine." I don't know.
That's scary, but more
It's
power
scary.
to
That's
you.
scary.
More power to you because
I
coffee
got to go to
gives.
the doctor or something. I don't know. Yeah.
No, seriously, because I would drink three. Starbucks took my paycheck, first of all, and I
Yeah.
had to go to the doctor because coffee gave me acid reflux. So that's why.
Mm.
So I had to stop drinking coffee cold turkey. So now I'm a tea person. So
Oh,
I'm over
okay.
here all zen on some tea.
Yeah.
But when you talked about being on set, let's go back to the beginning. So, like,
Sure.
what was it about acting? Or did you
Oh.
have that moment where you said, like, did you ever have that moment that where you went, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life? Or was it something that you grew up knowing that this is just the path that I was going to take?
Yeah, no, I've been performing since I was a kid. My parents were one of those parents who just wanted me, I think, to be busy at every day of the week, all day. So like school and then something at night. And so they put me in a ton of activities from swimming, soccer, badminton, youth group,
Mm,
guitar, piano. I mean, I did it all. And acting was one of them, just like at Manitoba Theater for Young People in Winnipeg, where I grew up. So, theater class for kids. And I never really took it seriously until I just had fun and it was fun to go and be silly. And I didn't take it seriously until I did a play at the Manitoba Theater Center. So like kind of like our big theater in Winnipeg, like a big,
okay.
our Broadway equivalent in a
Mhm.
small town. I got a play, and because they scouted me through the Manitoba Theater for Young People program, and I did this play, and I got paid for it, and I got to sleep in because we didn't start to rehearsals till 10.
Oh, that's
And then
good.
I would go till 5, and all day it was silly. And it was like with adults. Like I was being silly. I was 14 at the time, and I was with these adults who I was just like, wait, I'm getting this amount of money for just like cracking jokes all day. Like that's the gig. This is crazy. I didn't even know this was possible. So I think after that gig and that play specifically, it was called Over the Tavern, I focused in. I said that was the most fun I've ever had in my life.
Mm.
I got paid for it. And why wouldn't I just keep continuing doing something that clearly I love and I have a passion for it that, just pays the bills, and I got to meet incredible people. Like the actors and artists are just the best. So if I can surround myself with those types of people for the rest of my life, I've done something right. Yeah.
What would you say you love the most about acting or performing?
I love stepping into other people's shoes in scenarios that I would never do. It's a
Mm-hmm.
bit of like, like I said, when I was a kid, I was all over the place in terms of focus because I was doing everything. And acting, I think, is an extension of that because I get to still do everything in a type of way,
Hmm.
but I'm not actually doing everything. It's like I can pretend to be a really good guitar player. I can pretend to be a really good piano player without having to
Hmm.
do all the work
Hmm. Hmm.
behind it all.
Hmm.
So I just love getting into the shoes of other people's experiences in life and engrossing myself within that particular kind of character or person or lifestyle that's different from mine. Because when you do that, like you learn empathy. Acting is the easiest entryway to empathy because you have to
Mm.
understand other people's perspectives in order to give those types of characters justice when you're playing them. So I just love that fact that it exposes me to such diversity of lifestyle or types of people, even if they're bad people. It allows you to just reframe the mind a little bit and experience life through a different lens a little bit. Yeah.
That is so cool. That I've never heard it framed in that way. So
No,
thank you
nobody
for
said,
that.
nobody's kind of put it that way. It's
No,
like,
that's
no.
really, really cool. Like, and
Yeah.
I can see what you mean because in learning other people's stories, yeah, it broadens your perspective. But then, like you mentioned that word empathy, then as
Yeah.
you meet people in real life, you'll be able to, like what you practice learning others' perspectives, you could really adapt that and use that in real
Yeah.
life. That's really, really cool. And we're
Yeah.
going to
I
talk
mean,
about some of those experiences
sure,
later down the
sure.
line. I apologize. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
No, 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 no. I was just gonna say like that, it allows you to operate in the world like you just said, like with a different set of understanding.
Hmm.
Where, one of the things acting teachers always say, this is like a classic thing said in acting classes, like the villains don't know they're the villains. They think they're the right.
Mm.
They think they're the righteous people within their story. And if you play it like that. So if you apply that to real life where somebody's doing something, it's usually from a place of
Mm.
hurt, sadness, so you just get to treat or handle people in a different way because I don't know, the training has been done to be like, all right, what's actually going on with this person? Because when I see a
Yeah.
bad character, I don't say, oh, they're bad. I'm just going to play them like a villain. You say, what's going on with them? What happened in their life that took them to this place, that
Yes.
brought them to do these bad things? And it's usually you can point it to very obvious things that you're like, oh yeah, if I went through that, I would be pretty bad too, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
No, that reminds me of two characters I recently saw in two series. One is House of David, Goliath. Like the way they
oh,
wrote the story, um, is that they showed that maybe like what brought Goliath to kind of that like
right.
behemoth, I want to kill everybody point was that, okay, what if we considered this? The Israelites may have killed his mother.
Right.
And so now he brought it upon himself to get vengeance for his mother. So that
Yeah.
brought him to want to, and I was like, just things that make you go, you
Yeah,
know
you
what I
didn't think
mean?
about that, right?
Yeah.
I think those are the best villains in cinema or TV is ones you kind of go, they're not wrong, but it's
Hmm.
not right, but like I
Hmm.
see why they're doing what they do, and it allows you to empathize with the villain a little bit, and that brings
Hmm.
the best complexity to a story, I think. Did you watch the Marvel Universe stuff?
I dabble. So
You dabble,
I
okay.
dabble. Hmm.
It's like the whole Thanos, was Thanos really wrong?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
To
Yeah.
get rid of half the universe to bring balance. I mean, it's bad, but there was a fun discourse around that entire time and back in 2019 about, well, is he really wrong? Like the things he's saying is, but yeah, anyway, I
It's
digress.
so
Yeah.
interesting. No, because you
Yeah.
got me. I just finished Young Sherlock on Amazon Prime, and you get to see Moriarty and Holmes in their kind of, I want to say like early 20s, but then you got to witness in his eyes the turn of like the famous villain James Moriarty. I don't want to spoil it, but
Yeah.
you see the moment where it's like, okay,
Oh, there it
this is
is.
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And not to say that that's like true to the Holmes Bible or whatever, but like again, to offer just another perspective
Right.
on how people can think that Moriarty came to that villain point. I
Yeah.
just think that that's really, really awesome.
I'm with you.
So, how did your acting path transition from theater to film? What was that like?
Yeah, I went to theater school. I to a place in Vancouver called Studio 58, which was like a conservatory style theater program. I studied Shakespeare, I did the great plays, and I really thought I was going to be a theater actor. When I was a kid, that's what I wanted to do was I wasn't into film. I loved films. I loved movies.
Hmm.
I loved them, but they felt so unattainable where I came from, where theater felt accessible because my town had theater, Winnipeg had theater, I was in the theater scene. It felt like something I could always do, and that was in reach. And film, I always just was like, I can't do that. That's just not
Hmm.
in the cards for me. And then I went to theater school, and then I started auditioning for film and TV after theater school in my 20s in Vancouver because there's such a good film scene in Vancouver, and just started getting work. And it kind of snowballed from there, where all of a sudden the attainability complex switched in my brain, where I was like, oh, I can do this.
Mm,
And it just came from a place, I think, more of, unfortunately, the reality is living in a high cost living city like Vancouver, theater contracts just don't pay
hmm.
enough. And so most actors have to do it by default into film and television because of like, I'm going to be straight up about it, just from like a pay standpoint and
Yeah,
cost of living and supporting yourself. So we just switched to kind of doing it for I started to fall in love with it more as an art form, but also then supporting myself and being able to live in a big city. So that just came, I think my if I can compare my journey in theater to film is just also my journey of just like growing up as a human being
mm-hmm.
and needing to support myself and become more independent. Therefore that led me into film and television and led me to fall in love with a different art form because film and TV is very, very different from theater.
Yeah,
So there was a definite transition point where I had to figure out how to act on screen is much different than acting on stage.
yeah.
So it was just a big metamorphosis, I think, that I went through in my 20s from being a teenager to a man, and then also at the same time transitioning from theater to film. It was just like a lot of change throughout my 20s. Yeah.
Ah, there's so much I want to ask, but I know we don't have the time.
Ask away, ask away. I'm
All
here.
right, so I there. Okay, so now I'm curious about
Sure.
that film, that theater to film transition, because I
Yeah.
heard it said, and I won't reveal the source, but I heard it said during a press tour for a play, actually. One actor said that more so film is for the filmmaker and director, it's their playground, whereas theater is that's for the actor. And so I
Yeah.
wanted to
Yeah.
know if you agree with that, being as someone who's been involved with both.
100%.
Mm,
I find that so accurate, and it's also why I've transitioned, I've got a directing April 10th, Hunting Matthew Nichols in theaters, folks. It's why I went into directing in film recently, and why I've been starting to really push on that. Because when you're an actor on set, you're just a tool, and I don't mean that in like a disrespectful way. You
hmm
are the director's tool in order to tell the story because they have the vision and they're working with tons of departments. That as the actor, you're just there to say the lines, do your job, and kind of leave.
mm,
And and not that that's a bad thing. It's just that's the job. And
hmm
I feel that film, yeah, is a director's medium because there's
mm,
so many moving parts and so many things like the score.
hmm
That's going to inform your performance as an actor in ways that you don't even comprehend when you're doing it. But the
hmm
director knows that when
mm,
they're cutting it together, and then when they can enhance your performance in theater. There's no score, there's
hmm
no enhancement, there's no cuts you can hide behind. So it becomes a clearly an acting exercise for an actor, and you have total freedom because when you're in front of of an audience on stage, you are it. That's it. Like
hmm
that's why the audience is there to see you and nothing else, pretty much. So whoever you got that quote from, I think is spot on, and I agree. I do agree with it. Yeah.
It was Denzel Washington.
Oh, was it Denzel?
I didn't want to
How can
reveal
we
it at
disagree
first.
with Denzel? I mean,
Exactly, which is why I didn't want to say it at
oh
first.
my God. I
Just in
just want,
case
yeah.
somebody disagreed, I didn't want to say who it was because it's like we
Yeah.
don't disagree with Denzel.
I always hear like Denzel. I'm like, okay,
Yep.
okay, okay, okay.
Oh man. So let's cha-cha slide into your roles on Hallmark Channel.
Hmm.
Because this, even within film and television, is its own
Yeah.
ecosystem,
Yeah.
made for TV movies. So can you talk a little bit about how you got introduced into the HCU, the Hallmark Cinematic
The
Universe?
cinematic universe of Hallmark. I mean, again, by proxy of living in Vancouver, to be honest, like the massive Hallmark. Hallmark to me is the actor's kind of day job in Vancouver.
Mm.
There's so many productions going on that if you're an actor in Vancouver, you are going to work on a Hallmark. Like Hudson Williams, there's these clips of Hudson going around from his Hallmark days right now that I'm like,
Yes,
yes,
yes.
heated from Hallmark to Heated Rivalry, right? So
hmm
that's just part of the game in Vancouver as an actor, and it's really somewhere you get to, train and pay your dues a little bit, learn, And I'm so indebted and grateful to Hallmark because of that. Like it allowed me to have kind of like a safe space to learn film acting.
Mm,
It's low pressure. The people are awesome. The Hallmark execs are fantastic. And they're also very loyal too. So it's like it offers a place for you to go as an actor that's safe and that's how I got involved. And because I worked on one, they hire you for the next one. And it just, yeah, it becomes that thing where they just keep going back to the same people. And I'm very grateful that they've entrusted me over the years to eventually slide into those lead roles
hmm
because I started playing the speaker roles, the day players. So it does truly feel like I've worked my way up in that world.
hmm
And that's how that journey goes. It's a bit like a conservatory style network in that
hmm
way,
hmm
as opposed to other networks where it's like you're a lead right off the bat or you're down here and that, it's
hmm
harder to
hmm
break through or build up with
Yeah.
other. Whereas Hallmark really loves cultivating talent. And yeah, I just got involved by living in Vancouver, but then just, kept at it over the years.
So you've been involved in both the romance side and the mystery side. So
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about like the difference between filming both, even though it's still within this Hallmark universe?
Yeah, sure. Well, I love the mystery stuff.
hmm
So if I got to pick one, if Hallmark was like, "Hey, Mark, and you got to pick your lane here, buddy," I would go, "I'm like, put me in the mysteries." Um, I like, I don't know, I just like the mysteries, and also have like the Hallmark. Okay, so we're not pretending here. Hallmark's pretty cheesy, but I love the cheese within the mysteries because it reminds me of when I was watching kind of like those shows as like a kid that it's like, oh yeah, that one thing leads to the next and you got them. There's something super satisfying. I think why they're so popular is because the Hallmark Mysteries has a bit of that like quirky whimsy to them, where
Yes.
it's not like a dark mystery by any means, even though there's
Yeah.
somebody got murdered, like for sure,
Right.
it's pretty dark. But the tone of it is still this kind of like fun. So, what's the difference? I think it just comes down to there's less of a gloss on the mystery, especially with like something like True Justice. We did
hmm
actually try to go for a bit of a darker tone and realism, which I
hmm
really love. But yeah, so I think it was just like the difference is just within tone, the romances. You say everything more with just a bit of a smile or like a charm, whereas the
hmm
mysteries you don't have to reach for the charm as much. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And let's electric slide into because our cousins over at Up Faith and Family
Yeah.
has this mystery series out called Blue Skies.
Blue
And I did
skies.
watch all 4 episodes.
Oh,
Because
fantastic.
I watched the first one. I was like, let me see what this is about. So I watched I watched the first one. I said, hold up now. I want to keep
Yeah.
watching this. And I watched all four in one sitting. And I
Wow.
FaceTimed my
Dara.
mom and was like, Mom, because she, first of all, she got Up Faith and Family for like the 7 day free trial, forgot to cancel. And so she's just been
As they
paying.
hope you do. As they got her. They got her.
I was like, Mom, they got you. And so I said, you need to watch this because my mom is an FBI queen. Like she loves that FBI,
Oh, great. Yeah,
Chicago,
yeah, yeah.
PD, all them. And so I
Yeah.
was like, Mom, this is right up your alley because it perfectly meshes like that procedural with that Hallmark whimsy and like
Yes.
coziness.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing I felt from Blue Skies is the coziness. And so before I get too excited and take over this interview, can you talk about just what Blue Skies is and kind of introduce people to the show in general?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head though by describing the tone of it. And I think it's really unique and it's got a show. Okay, so for everybody listening out here, it's a procedural style mystery show that takes place in a national park called Crystal Ridge. And so every episode there's a new mystery, whether that's a missing person, a
Mhm.
murder, a wolf. We're about to deal episode 5 comes in a wolf episode. Yeah, somebody shoots a wolf and we gotta find who it is. Coming up.
Sips tea on that.
T. So will we find them? We don't know. But the show is led by Jody Larson, who is one of these like national park rangers. It's called the National Park Service. And in episode 1, she gets paired up and finds a dog, a nice golden Labrador. So the two of them become kind of this crime fighting duo in the national park. And we deal with the relationships, familial, also with my character, Ryan Miller. There's some romance going on. So I would describe it as a family friendly procedural show where those are actually quite hard to come by because you're going to
Hmm.
get mostly procedural in a very adult nature, like the Chicago PD,
Hmm.
those CSIs, FBI. Whereas this is something that you could watch with the family.
Hmm.
It's cozy. It's got this like hint of 90s nostalgia to it. Like when you're watching with the score and how everything's glossy and shiny. When I watch it, I do get this sense of like a little bit of Gilmore Girls going on,
Mm.
in this show that I think they've just hit a really unique tone with it that I think is very accessible and a little different than other offerings on TV right now.
Can I just say, for 2 seconds, I wanted to go on a hike, and I'm not even an outdoors person because of
For two
how
seconds, it was
two
2 seconds.
seconds, maybe
Yeah.
2.5. But I was like, the cinematography is gorgeous. I even
Yeah.
wore a shirt. It says Evergreen Enthusiast. I was trying to
Oh,
get as close to the trees or something that had to,
yeah.
that's adjacent to it. But just the way this is shot, I was like, first of all, are you an outdoors person? Like, is
I want to say yes. Like I want to answer yes when people ask that question. Like I'll go outdoors. I do hikes pretty often, but are you gonna find me like camping overnight anymore outside? Probably not. You know what I
fair,
mean?
fair.
But I
Yeah.
love the outdoors, but not enough to like if somebody was like, "Hey, you want to go on a hiking camping trip that's like 2 days?" I'd be like,
Yeah.
"Ah."
Eh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Because I definitely know. But one thing that I appreciate about, you spoke about the camping that brought up a thought,
Yeah.
how we see kind of random families camping in this national park, which is what you would find. Like
Yeah.
that add an element of like an organic nature to it. Like some where
Mm.
we're just kind of dropped into this young lady's storyline of her, acclimating back into her where she grew up and then being like coming from military. Because I'm even starting to witness that about her character, where it's like she's mad intense, but
Yeah.
now it's like people are just like, you could chill a little bit. Like it's okay, take the afternoon off. Like you don't have to be so gung
Yes.
ho. And then we have your character, Ryan Miller, who's like the mountaineer, search and rescue, all things mountain from the boots. I remember you got our U.S. Marshal, the boots, and which that was probably my favorite episode. Between that and
Yeah, episode two. Yeah.
episode two, and then
Yeah,
episode
episode two
four.
rocks. Yeah.
Episode four, where there's a thread now being pulled between you and Jody's father, which
Mhm.
when I tell you I yelled touchdown when that started I don't want to spoil it for y'all. That means y'all have to go watch
Yeah,
it.
Ryan starts his own investigation. Yeah,
Ooh,
there's a whole nother thread that's about to start unraveling in the show, which is really exciting, which will lead us to the eventual season one finale, which is really exciting.
oh,
So yeah, yeah. I know I'm so glad you said that. Episode two is like one of my favorites. And Jess Sheeposh, who
mm-hmm,
was the US Marshal, her and I
mm-hmm.
did Mistletoe Connection together. So her and I had a bit of
Yes, I
a
watched that.
reunion. We had a
Yes,
reunion on this show for that because we did an Up TV Christmas movie together.
yes.
And so having her back onto Blue Skies was awesome. Her and I just have such a good time on set together. I loved when she showed up. I was like, oh yeah, we're
Which
having fun here.
that was a cute movie too, by the way. If y'all haven't seen it, y'all
Oh
should go watch
yeah,
that. It was a
very
really cute
sweet.
movie. But can you talk a little bit about Ryan Miller? Like, who is he? Why is he there in Crystal Ridge? And what does he bring to the whole National Park Service community and what they're
Mhm.
trying to do?
So, like you said, Ryan, outdoorsman, mountaineer, search and rescue guy. So, like Jody, grew up in Crystal Ridge, so is a community man through and through. Spent his 20s traveling, and now he's back. He got a little bit back earlier than Jody did to the
Mm.
town, but he's running a coffee shop, the Rock and Roast in town, and that's his main kind of gig. But he's the head of the search and rescue squad. So when somebody goes missing in the park, Ryan has to get involved because he knows the terrain the best. He grew up there, climbing, mountaineering. So his knowledge of the landscape of the national park is the best on the show. That's why Jody and the team at the National Park Service has to use him a lot when the searches happen because I have the best knowledge about the park itself. So that's my involvement. And then through there, it's kind of like a will they, won't they situation with Jody and Ryan. So, but they are also working together. So it's a little awkward. Where's this going to go? Ryan's got the thing with his investigation with her dad and mom coming up. So there's going to be a lot of tension between them. And yeah, we'll kind of see what happens with the two of them. You have to watch, folks.
So can you pitch this movie to someone who maybe doesn't watch Up Faith and Family because they're just like Hallmark or bust? But I'm like, we got
Mm.
cousins over here. Like, let's go visit our cousins. So can you pitch this to, especially for someone who already watches the Hallmark mysteries, how this will be an easy transition to watch this?
Yeah, I think you said it the best, Darrell, which was it's a cozy procedural show. If you love the Hallmark mysteries and the romances, this show has both, right? So you don't
Mhm.
have to choose between one or the other. You can kind of weekly follow the romances and the storylines personally, but then also get a mystery each week. And, it's on Up Faith and Family, but for those who maybe aren't into that kind of word faith, there's nothing about in the show that's faith-based in that way. What I think it kind of means is that the show has kind of family values at the end of the day. So when
Mhm.
we want to say faith behind that, that's how I would approach it. Because some people have asked that question about like faith and family, and I'm like, it's not. There's nothing we're talking about in the show that has to do with God or anything like that. It's just like it's like a warm hot chocolate every week is kind of like how I would describe it. Maybe it's not winter, so that's not the best analogy to use right now. But if you're into that Hallmark world, this hits that same kind of tone, but on an expanded, expansive setting like the national park. So
And like I
check it
said,
out.
y'all, I wanted to go on a hike for 2 seconds. So you know that it did something because I wanted to go on a hike because me and outdoors, that's my nemesis. It's my antithesis to my whole being. But I appreciate the outdoors and I appreciate it through my TV. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
this is why I watch the show. And it's really, really good, y'all. So, Markian, I want to thank you for coming into the home of Dear Hallmark. It's been a pleasure having you here. But before I let you go, what I
Mhm.
do with all my guests, I let them have the last moment, the last word. You can talk about anything you want to talk about, whether it's coffee, boots, like mountains, blue skies.
Whoa.
Literally, it's your moment to have. And so I'm gonna let you have the last words here.
Oh man, I'm gonna do the classic annoying actor thing here and just plug my stuff coming up because I mean tomorrow, well, I don't know when this is getting posted. Nellie Knows 2. We've got a little cameo. That's March 14th, but I'm sure there'll be reruns on Hallmark Network. So check out Nellie Knows. I've got Hunting Matthew Nichols in theaters April 10th across North America that I directed. I'm also acting in that. So please buy tickets. Come check out the movie. I'm so proud of it. And then possibly in May, we've got some more True Justices coming out on Hallmark. So we've got number 2 and 3 waiting to be premiered right now. So yeah, watch it all, folks. Get annoyed with this face. That's the name of the game for the next 2 months. So
I can hear that. Thank you so much again, Mark. And it's been a
thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Everyone, again, please check out Blue Skies on Up Faith and Family. It's their streaming service. So this isn't Up TV linear or Up TV proper. This is their streaming service. I have it on Prime as an additional channel on Prime. So if you want to just stack and have and consolidate and have all your streamers in one place, that's a great place and a great way to do it. So be sure to
Yeah.
check it out. Well, y'all, he is Markian. I'm Dara. And in the meantime, between time, find somebody that you love and tell them that you love them. And then watch a Hallmark movie that you love. And then watch this, Blue Skies, because I know you'll love it too. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye, friends.
Bye bye.